Take a break from your busy schedule and join Harold Sala for Guidelines for Living.
The person who stands for nothing will fall for anything. So goes conventional wisdom. But the person who does stand for something, whether it is the refusal to cover for fellow employees who cheat on their time cards, or has the conviction to abide by what he or she believes is right, will soon discover everybody doesn't appreciate that commitment to decency and honesty. It makes them squirm to have such a one in their midst. It's true that people do love darkness rather than evil, because their deeds are evil. You sit down at the lunch table with friends and the conversation goes dead. Or they let you know in no uncertain terms that you're single because you're just too moral. How do you respond? In some cases, the hostility is more emotional than physical. But in other situations, you find yourself as a target of even physical hostility you don't deserve because you choose to do the right thing. When that happens, do you rejoice saying, "Thank God he counts me worthy to take the rap"? Or do you quietly think, "Yeah, this is what I get for being so conservative"? When Jesus taught the multitude in the Sermon on the Mount, he addressed this issue as old as the sons of Adam and Eve and as contemporary as the morning newspaper. He said, "Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kind of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." How should you respond when you become a target of hostility or persecution for doing right? The following guidelines may help. Guideline 1. Pray for your enemies. That's the advice Jesus gave his disciples. Sure enough, the fact that some may persecute or ridicule the one who does right is often a sign of the conviction which is the result of God's working in their lives. Do you remember the archenemy of the early church, Saul of Tarsus? He ended up being the Apostle Paul. Guideline 2. Realize Satan is motivating or using those who oppose you. At the same time, be on your guard. Don't let the enemy get to you. Go back to passages as Ephesians 6 that tell you how to oppose the opposition of the enemy and stand strong and true. Guideline 3. Remember, nothing is forever. When my brother asked to place Gideon Bibles in a school, the principal sternly told him, "Over my dead body." But 2 years later, the man died of a heart attack, and they quietly went back and asked his replacement, who gave them permission and thanked them for doing it. Guideline 4. Rejoice and be glad. Rather than thank God for persecution, thank him that his grace is sufficient for your need, and he will sustain you and strengthen you during this difficult time. Remember, friend, you are doing right and doing what God wants. Nobody welcomes hostility or persecution. Nonetheless, the fact endures. You are blessed and accounted worthy of the kingdom of heaven. Never forget, God has his payday someday for you and those who persecute you. Far better to be on the side that loses the skirmish but will win the war than be on the side of those who win the skirmish but will eventually lose the war.
You've just heard Dr. Harold Sala with Guidelines for Living. If you'd like to listen to the program again, download a copy, subscribe to our devotional, or view other resources, visit guidelines.org. We would like to hear from you too. You can email us at info@guidelines.org. Thanks for listening, and we invite you to join us again for the next edition of Guidelines.